Hello everyone, myself Preeti Ram, Assistant Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Business System from Ramco Institute of Technology, Rajapalayam. Today we are going to discuss about the topic of XP, that is Extreme Programming, which belongs to the subject of software engineering. So let's discuss about the introduction of XP. It is one of the numerous Agile frameworks applied by the IT companies, but its key feature emphasis on technical aspects of software development distinguishes XP from the other approaches. So, software engineer Ken Beck introduced XP in the 90s with the goal of finding ways to write high qualitative software quickly and being able to adapt to customer changing requirements. In 1999, he refined XP approaches in the book Extreme Programming Explained Embrace Change, which is the title of the book. So XP is a set of engineer practices. So the developers have to go beyond their capabilities while performing these practices. That's where the extreme in the framework titles comes from. To get a better understanding of these practices, we will describe more about XP and its life cycle and its role and so on. Let's move to the next slide. As I have already said, it is one of the most important software development framework of Agile models. It is used to improve the software quality and responsiveness to customer requirements. It is an Agile software development methodology that focuses on delivering the high quality software through frequent and continuous feedback, collaborations, and adaptation. XP emphasizes a close working relationship between the development team, customer, and the stakeholders with an emphasis on rapid iterative development and deployment. Initially, this approach is evolved in the year of 1990s as a reaction to a documentation. Agile approaches are based on some common principles, some of which are working software is a key measure of progress in a project. Next one is for progress in a project, therefore, software should be developed and delivered rapidly in a small increments. Even late changes in the requirement should be entertained, and face-to-face communication is performed and preferred over sharing the documentation and communicating over internet and through other social media networks. So continuous feedback and involvement of customers are necessary for developing some of the good quality softwares. A simple design that involves and improves us with time is a better approach than doing an elaborate design up front for handling all possible scenarios. The delivery dates are decided by empowered teams of talented individuals. Here is the life cycle of an extreme programming. So there are five phases. First one is planning, and second one is design. Third one is coding. Fourth one is testing, and fifth one is listening. In this slide, we will discuss about the introduction of those five phases, and in the upcoming slides, we will discuss more about it. So first phase is planning. The first stage is when the customer meets the development team and presents the requirement in the form of user stories to describe the desired results as we expect. The team then estimates the stories and creates a release plan broken down into iterations that is needed to cover the required functionality part after part. If one or more of the stories can't be estimated, so-called spikes can be introduced, which means that further research is needed for those plans. So this is the intro about first phase planning. Then second one, design. So designing is actually a part of a planning process, but can be set apart to emphasize its importance. It is related to one of the main XP values that we will discuss as simplicity. A good design brings logic and structure to the system and allows us to avoid some of the unnecessary complexities and redundancies. So third one is the coding. Coding is a phase during which the actual code is created by implementing specific XP practices that we have discussed in the planning and design phases. So such as coding standards, pair programming, continuous iterations and integration and collective code ownership. That is the entire list is described. Next one is testing. Testing is a core of extreme programming. It is a regular activity that involves both unit tests, automated testing to determine if the development features was properly or not, and acceptance tests which involves us in customer testing to verify that overall system is created according to the initial requirements of planning and designing process. Then the last phase is listening. Listening is all about the constant communication and the feedback from the customer side. The customers and the project managers are involved to describe the business logic and value that is expected from the beginning of the process. These are such as five phases in the extreme programming process. Such a development process entails the cooperation between several participants, each having his or her own task and responsibilities in those processes and in those phases. Extreme programming puts people in the center of the system, emphasizing the value and importance of such social skills such as communication, cooperation, responsive, and feedback. These roles are commonly associated with SPs, that are customers, programmers or developers, trackers or managers, or coaches. We will discuss about these four associated roles in the upcoming slides. We have seen the introduction about those life cycles. Here is the detailed description. As I have already said, the first phase is a planning. So the first stage of extreme programming is planning. During this phase, client defines their needs in a concise description known as the user stories. The team calculates the effort required for each story and schedules the releases according to their priority and according to their effort. The second phase is the design. The team creates only the essential design needed for the current user stories. They are not going to create many more designs that, that are not in the planning phases. So using a common analogy or story to help everyone understand the overall system architecture and keep the design straightforward and clear and also in the precise manner. Third phase is the coding. Extreme programming promotes pair programming, that is, the developer work together at one workstation, enhancing the quad quality and knowledge sharing. They write tests before the coding to ensure functionality from the start and frequently integrate their code into a shared repository with automated tests to catch issues earlier. Next phase is the testing. Extreme programming gives more importance to testing that consists of both the unit test and acceptance test. In the previous slide, we have discussed about the unit test and acceptance test. Here we will recall one more time. So unit tests, which are automated, check if the specific features works correctly or not. In acceptance test, conducted by a customer, ensures that the overall system meets the initial requirements that we have discussed in the planning phase. Extreme programming. We have already said about the roles that are commonly associated with XP. That I have already said: customer, programmer, developer, tracker or management, and coaches. We will discuss about it. First one is the customer. Customers are expected to be heavily engaged in the development process by creating the user stories, providing a continuous feedback, and making all the necessary business decisions related to the project. So next one is the programmer or developers. Programmer or developers are the team members that actually creates the product. They are responsible for implementing user stories and conducting user tests. Sometimes a separate tester role is set apart from it. Since XP is usually associated with cross-functional teams, the skill set of such members that can be different associated with them. Then the third one is trackers or manager. So tracker or manager link customers and the developers. It is not a required role and can be performed by one of the developers. These people organize the meetups, regulate the discussions, and keep track of the important progress that is known as KPIs. So next one is the coaches. Coaches can be included in the team as mentors to help with understanding the XP practices. It's usually an outside assistant or an external consultant who is not involved in the development process but had used XP before, and so help to avoid those mistakes that occurs in the any phases of the life cycle of XP. Let's move on to the next slide. Then the values of XP. There are 5 values of XP that are communication, simplicity, feedback, courage, and respect. We will discuss in the upcoming slides about it. First one is communication. The essence of communication is for information and ideas to be exchanged among us development team members so that everyone has an understanding of the system requirements and goals. XP supports this by allowing open and frequent communication between the members of the team. So second one is the simplicity. Keeping things as simple as possible helps to reduce the complexity and makes it easier to understand and maintain the code. So third value is feedback. Feedback loops which are constant are among testing as well as customer involvements, which helps in detecting problems earlier during the development. Fourth one is the courage. Team members are encouraged to take risks, speak up about the problems and adapt to change without the fear of repercussions. So fifth one is the respect. Every member's input or opinion is appreciated, which promotes a collective way of working among people who are supportive within the certain groups. And next one is the 5 principles of extreme programming. First one is the rapid feedback. Team members understand the given feedback and react to its right way. Second one is assumed simplicity. Developers need to focus on the job that is important at that moment and follow, which is mentioned as Yagni. You ain't gonna need it. And right, don't repeat yourself principles. By using these 2 principles, they are going to maintain the assumed simplicities. Then third one is incremental changes. Small changes made to a product step by step work better than big ones made at once. Fourth one is embarrassing change. If a client thinks a product needs to be changed, programmers should support this decision and plan how to implement the new requirements and to satisfy the client according to their need. And last one is the quality work. A team that works well make a valuable product and feels proud of it. The next one is how is XP different from the other Agile methodology? Extreme programming by nature has a lot in common with the other Agile methodology, but it's also a unique among them. Most other development methodologies, XP on the other hand is highly opinionated when it's come to that and puts great emphasis on software engineering practices. XP stands out from the other Agile frameworks and Agile processes due to its focus on technical practices. Through regular integration of minor code changes, it promotes the frequent software releases according to the client needs. And we have also another doubt that XP differs from traditional and non-Agile methodologies, how it works on. Extreme programming being a part of an Agile, it's all about embracing and welcoming change rather than following rigid plans. It's about an iterative design rather than a big design upfront. XP differs dramatically from the traditional methodologies that we have already know about the waterfall methodology by avoiding the long-lasting phases. Instead of planning the phases in XP, you plan at the start of each development cycle, which usually lasts just a week. Instead of testing episodes, you test your application as soon as you can. That is, before the actual code is implemented. We have a design phase right now. So by using the design phase, we can able to understand how the outcome will we are going to get in the future. So instead of implementing the features in an isolation during a long implementation phases and then struggling to merge your contributions to the main line, you work in a small chunks and integrate those chunks as often as possible. It helps to produce a software in a whole part, and also it meet the customer's requirements and your satisfaction level. I hope you have learned more about the extreme programming process. Before concluding, I have to discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of extreme programming. Some of the advantages of extreme programming are, as we already know, it has an enhanced customer satisfaction, then improved software quality, and it has a flexibility to change and increased productivity, and also risk mitigation. So some of the disadvantages are intensive customer involvement, that is requires the commitment and decision overhead. Next, it can be less predictability. So difficulty in long-term planning. The iterative nature of XP can make it challenging to predict the exact timeline and budget for project completion. Maybe next one is the scalability issues. In scalability issues, challenging in a large team. XP emphasis on a close collaborations can be difficult to maintain as team size increases. Then in scalability issues, we can mention the complex projects. So XP may not be the best fit for the projects that are highly complex or heavily regulated one. As a conclusion, so extreme programming offers us a dynamic and customer-focused approaches to software development. Its strong emphasis on quality and adaptability can lead to the superior product that align closely with the customer needs. However, the methodology's success on the presence of a committed customer, a cohesive team, and experienced developers who can thrive in an environment of a collaboration and rapid change. Organizations considering XP must weigh these factors carefully against the nature and goals of their project to determine if this agile methodology is the right fit. While not one of the right fits of the solution, XP has the potential to be the more powerful framework for certain types of project and teams willing to embrace its principle. So based on this, we can able to produce a product as the customer needs. So thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed the video. So we will meet in the next video. Thank you so much.